Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
We're going to talk about the toxic Star Wars fandom. The toxic Star Wars fandom. Again, and it's not the fandom that you would think it would be based on what you're reading in the media, because it's the story thus far has been its original trilogy fans being toxic and misogynist and racist and basically gamergate.
I think what I hear is if you don't like it, you're just a bad person. Because, I like it, so if you don't like it, you're a bad person.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Star Wars Theory, which is a very sizable Star Wars YouTube channel. In fact, I used to watch him back in the day as we were gearing up for the sequels. Him and Mike Zero, and I used to kind of watch when I'd go to the gym, and I'd be like, oh, I'm actually excited about these new Star Wars movies. Let's hear about some theories and some leaks. And unfortunately, the theories and the fake leaks turned out to be a lot more interesting than the movies themselves, because I was like, man, this is gonna be awesome. It's like, oh shit, that's all it was. But we're gonna talk about this because he's under fire from a lot of people now because he doesn't like bricks or something in Andor. Yeah, no, I'll tell you what the real issue is, in my personal opinion. He's kind of turned against Disney Star Wars. He did a video a month or two ago where he said, look, guys, I've been doing this for years. He's got 3 million subs. He's like, I'm kind of over it. Now, this is a guy that...
We know how you feel.
Yeah, we know how you feel. Look, here's what happened with us. I mean, the whole Disney thing, like we were, Disney podcasters, Disney bloggers, did work for Disney, contract work for Disney, eat, breathe, sleep Disney. And we did it for years. And then one day the magic was gone.
Yeah, well, Star Wars. I mean, I've been a fan so long I can remember. I used to sell toys and stuff in college, because they were like the vintage toys, and I used to sell them to make money to pay for stuff. And went to all when the movies would come out, I was like me and my one friend were the only girls in line for the longest time, and I loved it. I always did, and I still love original trilogy. But I gotta tell you, when it's on, I used to watch it every time I could watch it. Now I'm just like, don't feel like it. And Neon's just completely over it. He doesn't care if he watches Star Wars ever again.
Yeah, I never thought I would get to that place. I mean,
no, I never did either. I read all the books. I mean, the book was out. I had it. I read it. Within a couple days, it was done.
Were in them?
I was actually, yes. They named the character after me in the books
because you love them so much.
Yes,
and,
that's how much of a Star Wars nerd I was, and I just think it.
Thanks, Disney. Thanks.
I think it's not even just Disney. I think okay. You could even some of the choices they made were dumb. It's like not putting Han, Luke, and Leia together again was absolutely stupid. I can't even wrap my head around that one. But beyond that, the media and the way that Disney has led the attack sometimes on fans has been a problem. This person was the one who was mocked by Pablo Hidalgo because he was excited about Luke Skywalker being back when you had Favreau and Filoni trying to undo damage. Mm-hmm. They just redid the damage. Story group out there calling people names and acting like asshats.
He had a copyright strike against him because he did a fan film.
I remember that.
I mean, this guy's put up with a lot of abuse.
And he still was like, yay, Star Wars. Yeah. But I'm just saying, Disney themselves, and we had Ryan Johnson out on Twitter, causing shit. You had the Star Wars, official Star Wars groups and channels, telling people they were racist and istophobic and all that before Obi-Wan even came out because, supposedly Moses Ingram had gotten some racist comments, which I believe happened. But I don't believe that's indicative of everyone. And then it became, if you don't like it, you insert istophobic insult here. Got called a internalized misogynist by a man who was actually acting like a misogynist towards me because I didn't agree with him about Star Wars films. I mean, people get over it, but it's not even necessarily, bad choices Disney are making is part of it, but a lot of it has to do with they're just tired of all the shit from, official channels and some of these quote-unquote fans.
Something changed. I mean, the fandom has changed. And we talked, I kind of brought up Disney because I think that some of the Disney zealousness has crept into, and the same thing with Marvel, it's crept into Star Wars fandom.
I think it's the shippers, but that's just me.
The shippers,
they kicked it off.
Well, this isn't the first time he's gotten into it before. We're going to talk about this latest brouhaha here, which I was completely unaware of. Jake James Lugo wrote an article on clownshishtv.com. I didn't know this was going on because I have, like you said, completely checked out from Star Wars. We don't even talk about much on the channel.
I do if I have to for the blog.
The blog.
That's about it.
We haven't watched Andor yet. We've actually heard, and I'll be fair, we've actually heard from some people that didn't like the other Disney Star Wars stuff, that Andor is actually the best of the bunch.
I just haven't got myself enough to give a shit to watch
I can't either.
I didn't watch Rise of Skywalker. I don't really care if I watch Andor. I mean, I kind of wanted to because I like Cassian Andor. But I'm just like, it seems very boring to me. It just seems like a lot of talking.
Yeah. It's so sad because, I look at all the nostalgia bait with Star Wars and like the retro Star Wars figures, and I look at them, I'm like, man, 10 years ago, I would have been all about this. I would have been all about this. And now I'm like, I don't care if it's retro original trilogy stuff. I don't care if you're slapping the Kenner name on it. I don't care if you're like, I am so over Star Wars, and it's not just Disney's handling of it. For me, it actually has been all the drama around Star Wars, talking about for years, seeing how shitty a lot of the stands are and how toxic the whole thing is. I mean, we're gonna talk about this before we get into it any further. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, over 281,000 subs. Woohoo! Thank you for the support. Go out to piratesandprincesses.net for objective Disney news, Star Wars news.
ClownfishTV.com.
Yeah, this is on ClownfishTV.com.
Which we also own.
We also own that. We own multiple websites, believe it or not. We do other things besides bitch on YouTube. We bitch on websites, too. If you want to support the channel, go out to shopclownfish.com, and you can pick up some of our new Clownfish Studios pins. This is actually the company behind the fish. But we're going to be ramping up content over on the other channel where we do gaming content and art content. And this is actually a version of the logo that we use over there. And these pins turned out very, very well. And hopefully we'll be doing some more pins with some different stuff, maybe some comics characters. And wouldn't that be cool? Do that. So check that out, shopclownfish.com. So we were going to do a video on this a couple of weeks ago, actually. Screen Rant had an article out there, and they said flat out on Screen Rant that Star Wars fans are the most toxic fans of any fandom.
I don't buy that.
I don't buy that either.
I've been around other fandoms.
Steven Universe.
I was thinking like, the She-Ra people.
She-Ra.
The new Ra. A lot of cartoon stands are like worse.
I would say that. But if we're talking like, I guess, mainstream entertainment, because let's be honest, She-Ra, Steven Universe cartoon stands, those young adult cartoons, very small subsection of, pop culture. Star Wars is huge. But they're trying to blame, the toxic fanboys, the people attacking female and POC actors, and all those YouTubers that scream about stuff. I guess we're guilty of that, and that's not cool. Harassing people's not cool. That being said, you are absolutely positively allowed to say, "Hey, I don't like this."
No, you're not. You're only allowed to say you like it. They are allowed to say they don't like certain things from the old trilogy, and they can mock it all they want. But you are not allowed to not like what they like, or you are a bigot.
Well, here's what kind of kicked this whole thing off. I mean, beyond the fact, and this is why I have to wonder. I mean, look, I'm not trying to get into these conspiracy theories or anything, but this is a guy who kind of went to war with Lucasfilm over the Pablo Hidalgo. I mean, Pablo Hidalgo
was an asshole to a lot of people, let's be honest.
Openly, and I used to like Pablo Hidalgo. I did. I was like, because the guy was working with George Lucas back in the 90s, and, he really was kind of like the Lucasfilm.
He turned into an arrogant ass.
Asshole.
He thinks he's all that.
And I used to like the guy, though. I did. But after what he did to Star Wars Theory, where he mocked him for crying over Luke Skywalker returning, when really that's all anybody wanted from the sequel trilogy was a classic character.
And yes, we mocked Kevin Smith for crying. There's a difference, though. Kevin Smith films himself crying over everything for attention. And it's not even because sometimes I think he just does it because it'll get clicks. Because he says his worst fear is to not be relevant anymore. So I'll take pictures of myself crying like a little bitch to make sure that I stay relevant. We're not talking about that. We're talking about like a one-time incident, and then they had a hissy about it.
Kevin Smith doesn't cry. His eyes just lactate. Yes.
What comes out of there instead of his boobs?
Something happened. I don't know. So this was over the summer. Star Wars content creator calls out sequel trilogy fans for being toxic. So the story, again, the official story from these blogs who support Lucasfilm and all that, is that it's the toxic YouTubers. But this is Star Wars Theory in June. Tired of people shitting on me and my subs for years. Most of you are some of the most caring and loving people on the net. I'm done sitting silent while people take the piss on us. Why? Because we have opinions. Because we care about Star Wars. Nah, fam, I'm done ignoring the shit today.
Hey, but we've been saying that for a while. So, it came out of Force Awakens, and I was like, what the hell was that?
The reason they're paying so much attention to him is he has over 3 million subs. He actually gets more views on most of his videos than the official Star Wars channel.
It doesn't take much.
It really does not take much.
We get more views than some of their videos on the official Star Wars channel.
So a lot of this drama coming from Saltier Than Crate, which
surprise there.
Yeah, which is really interesting because that particular subreddit banned a bunch of YouTubers and websites from being able to link to them. We were one of them, actually. Pirates and Princesses was one of the sites. Clownfish TV was one of the sites. You were one of the channels you were not allowed to link to.
So you're allowed to be saltier than Crate as long as you agree with their salt.
Their brand of salt.
That's right.
Yes, low sodium.
They're probably so afraid people are going to come in and take over because people actually listen to them more than that. Then they listen to Saltier Than Crate, so they just block people.
So I have a theory, a Star Wars theory of my own, that Saltier Than Crate was maybe kind of an op by Lucasfilm. Maybe there are Lucasfilm people behind it just trying to control the chaos.
I don't know.
Or somebody's just a jealous bitch. Anyway,
my money's in the second one.
So they create, and this is again like the article on Wednesday. We did, Pinky Boo and I did a video yesterday. It's literally like 1 or 2 tweets that they decided they were going to create a whole article out of, because I think there are people working at these websites that spend way too much time on Twitter looking for people to attack and cancel. His response was, "Oh no, I'm on Reddit and Twitter again. Oh my God, guys." So I guess he made comments about Andor that he was and he said he wasn't real happy with the aesthetic because there were bricks and screws and it looked really pedestrian compared to how Star Wars typically looks. And he didn't think it looked like it belonged in Star Wars. It looked budget cut. And so people came after him for that. And, he's
entitled to that opinion.
He's entitled to that opinion.
I don't think that Galaxy's Edge looks like what I would think. I mean, it looks like a dirty, I don't know. I mean, it looks like a Moroccan flea market if it was dirtier.
Yes, it does. It looks like the Morocco Pavilion, but
like a really dirty version of it.
If you took the handful of science fiction themed things out of it and you replaced it with, I don't know, Indiana Jones it would literally be like the Raiders of the Lost Ark,
but make it cleaner.
Adventure. Yeah. And they were joking before that they were like, if it was a huge flop, they were going to turn it into Agrabah or something. I'm like, I can see it. I totally can see it.
It's very generic. So, I don't want to hear about. And then their idea for the Galactic Star Cruiser was, we just refurbished this Star Cruiser, and that's why everything's shiny and new. Looks like Star Trek or generic sci-fi movie number 5.
Yeah. Yeah, look, they've mishandled. I mean, the mainstream media's called it out. Again, we don't get as involved in the day-to-day Star Wars drama. I just don't care. I am completely numb to it. What I do care about is people getting dogpiled. That's
where I come into.
For having a legit opinion.
You're allowed to you're allowed to like it completely. People are allowed to not like it. If he doesn't think that it looks like Star Wars, then he's allowed to have that opinion. If you think it looks great and it looks just like Star Wars, you're allowed to have that opinion. The difference is he isn't out there harassing you.
No, actually, from everything I have seen of him, I don't know him. I've never met him. I've never talked to him. But everything I have seen, he seems like a pretty decent guy. He seems like a legit fan who's been into this for a long time. The video I was watching, part of it before, he said he started getting into Star Wars in the mid-'90s. He's younger than we are, so he wasn't around in the '80s when it was like really huge, but he's been a fan for a very long time.
He said that literally what they're having a hissy about was a section that was less than 1 minute out of his whole 4-hour video.
Yeah, where he had a 4-hour watch party, and he basically, was talking about the aesthetic of Andor, and it looked cheap.
So let me get this straight.
Yeah.
They're nitpicking a less than 1 minute section of a 4-hour video because they're mad about something about him nitpicking. So, yes. Which is worse? The fact that he just offhandedly said, I don't think the bricks look like Star Wars, or the fact that they went through his whole video, found a less than 1 minute part, and that's what they're nitpicking the hell out of and dragging him all over through. I mean, to me, that just seems like potato. I mean,
we have run into the exact same thing. We've actually, I got pissed off, and it's out of character for me. We've had some shit going on in the real world in the last couple of weeks that, it's kind of like, God, we're tired of people. But I kind of went postal on Twitter because we had people saying that we were saying things that we didn't say, which happens all the time.
Well, we had that one dipshit do a video, which, technically is like, don't flag this because if you do, it's fair use. No, actually, it's not fair use, which we could probably flag immediately, but we didn't do it. I'm not saying it wouldn't get flagged eventually, but if it happens again, most likely will. But he's talking us about, I don't know, it's like you need to cope. I'm like, you did a whole damn video.
Literally took our entire
swiping our video.
Half an hour. It was like a half an hour video we did. Took an entire, this idiot took an entire half an hour video, and he'd break it up like every 15, 20 seconds. He would pause, give his commentary. And
it was stupid commentary.
That is it might be that the YouTube algorithm doesn't catch it because it's interrupted, but it
could be flagged by somebody though.
It is not transformative. I can tell you, as someone who's tried to transform trailer reactions and whatnot. I mean, it might not get picked up by the bots, by the algorithm, but it's not transformative.
Like he's like one about, you need to cope. I said, says the person who did an entire video reacting to a video we did, and then he was some of the stuff he was mad about wasn't even stuff that was he misunderstood what we were saying. So I was like. But the same type of thing. It's like you're getting so pissed off. Except this is on a much, much, much larger scale over something that's less than a minute in a 4-hour video.
So here's the thing. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about jealous little bitches.
Probably.
Because this guy's got one of the largest Star Wars channels out there, and he has turned on he's not like become a hate monger or anything like that, but he has basically said,
oh no, as soon as you don't like something, you're a hate monger.
You literally want, minorities to die because you don't like Disney Star Wars. I mean, that's what they
honestly, you're a misogynist and you're against diversity and inclusion because you don't like a movie. You're allowed to not like the damn movie. I'm sorry, you are. Obi-Wan with little Leia and Reva made absolutely no damn sense. It had nothing to do with the actress being black and the character being black. It had nothing to do with that. It was just a stupid thing. Like, who the hell are these people and why are you shoving them into an Obi-Wan movie?
Yeah, I mean, it's just sad. I mean, look, Star Wars fans have always been kind of, bitchy. I mean, I remember one of the first magazines I ever picked up was, I want to say it was Starlog, or it was a Starlog special, but it was basically the entire issue talked about how awful Return of the Jedi was compared to The Empire Strikes Back. And that was the entire issue. And it was just like everything. They ripped it for shreds. They were even like, Leia's not even as good as she was in the last movie, and Han's a pussy in this movie, and pretty much everything that you would bitch about online. But they charged for it, and people bought it. It actually sold out, if I remember. And for the longest time, it was like, Return of the Jedi is not as good as the first two movies. And then the prequels came along, and it was like, oh shit, the prequels are, Return of the Jedi is a freaking masterpiece.
Well,
now.
Actually, Return of the Jedi was always my favorite one. So
yeah, I know.
And I love all three of the original movies. And I really like Empire a lot, but Jedi was always my favorite. I don't know why, even though Hoth from Empire Strikes Back was like my favorite series, like segment ever.
Well, see, that's where I'm like in the original trilogy, I can think of like my favorite scenes from each of the movies, but like I'll be honest, the original Star Wars compared to the other two, I find it boring.
Yeah, I think it's at least.
I think it's very slow. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was groundbreaking for the time. But compared to the other two movies, I'm like, this one kind of drags a little bit. Yeah, it drags a little bit. Anyway, oh my God, I'm going to get canceled now for saying that.
For less than a minute clip on this video.
Yeah. Oh, you said Star Wars sucks. I'm like, no, the episode 4's got some slow spots. That's all I'm saying, right? And it would have been a hell of a lot worse if it wasn't for George Lucas's wife, who came in and
that's true.
Fixed it and didn't get any credit for it.
I should give him something to talk about. I should just give a whole, let it rip for 2 minutes about all the things that are wrong with it, and then they'll just have a hissy meltdown for days over that.
Well, this channel would be a complete disaster if Geeky didn't fix my shit.
No, it's not true.
No, it is true. Sometimes you're like, don't say that.
I do. I make him take stuff
out. What are you doing? Don't run that video.
You're not. No.
What are you doing? What are you saying? Anyway,
But this is unnecessary. The behavior, the punishment doesn't match the crime, even though there is the thought crime. The punishment doesn't match the thought crime, even though there isn't anything wrong here. It's just, I don't personally feel that bricks and screws feel like Star Wars isn't enough to warrant what you were showing of all these people writing these things, calling him names.
Yeah,
I'm over that.
So it's kind of interesting because, I mean, we deal with this all the time. And, Jake James, actually, he's been writing some really good articles for us on Clownfish. But, he's kind of breaking down, different people that had character assassination committed against them because of their hot takes on Star Wars or Marvel. And I'm like, we have been dealing with this personally. We've been dealing with this for 4 years.
Remember about people calling they were calling Rey Mary Sue. That's the first thing I said. Wasn't the men that I knew. I was the girl, the only girl, and I was the one who said I thought she was a Mary Sue. I thought she started out as potential. I thought it had potential the first 30 minutes. And then I was like, what the hell? So
a lot of what's going on, though, here is I think because he was, I'm not going to use the term Star Wars shill. He wasn't a Star Wars shill, but he was definitely a pro Star Wars channel.
So was I. I mean, not channel, but pro Star Wars. I was too. I was like,
we were pro Disney for the longest time. And then look, it's like the company did it to themselves. In this case with Star Wars, it's a combination, one of colossal mismanagement by Disney. Okay, putting out a lot of subpar product. And you can like it, that's fine. Personal opinion. A lot of Disney Star Wars, the majority of it has been subpar product pushed out into theaters and onto Disney Plus because they have to make their money back.
Have you noticed, like, you could like or not like the original or the prequels, and you weren't like a terrible person if you liked or didn't like it. Like, you weren't like harassed, and you weren't like, you know, canceled, and you weren't called a misogynist, racist, whatever.
Yeah, it was very different. Like, we were there for that. I remember there was a lot of discussion about whether or not the prequels were good when they came out. And, you know, you could laugh at somebody like, you actually liked episode 1? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? I actually liked episode 1. I think it had...
I'll make you feel better. What the hell's wrong with you? No, okay.
Well, no, we actually had, because we actually had a disagreement about that.
Yeah.
Being Star Wars, because I actually liked the prequels. I'm like, I think it was a good story, clumsily executed, but there's a good story there.
I think if his ex-wife could have edited it,
yes, if Marshall Lucas could have come in and fixed his shit, it wouldn't have been as bad.
People liked or didn't like it, and it wasn't to the level. Actually, the ones who I would say were the shittiest was like the media, because they were the ones that were going after the Jar Jar Binks thing. And, you know, they were the ones who caused Ahmed Best to have, you know, the issues he had. And it was the media who was perpetuating that. It wasn't the fans, even though they tried to spin it around that it was the other way around, but it wasn't. The media was the one going, oh, it's a racist caricature and what a shitty character. And that was the media. How quickly they forget. But, you know, people didn't argue like, I mean, you were allowed to not like it. You were allowed to like it. You might have some kind, you know, fun, like hee ribbing, but it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah, so this is you know, he's going through and he's actually picking a lot of examples of people that were actually on the sequel trilogy train, and now because they said they don't like Andor, they don't like Obi-Wan, you're not allowed to, and now they have completely turned on them. I mean, this has happened in comics. This has happened. Fandom is, and it's not just Star Wars. It's everything. But fandom is so much more toxic now than it was 10 or 15 years ago. And everybody's like, well, there have always been old nerds that were like gatekeeping. Yeah, but again, the
gatekeepers now aren't those old nerds you're yelling about.
No, they're the people that write for these blogs. They're the people who, you know, squat on Twitter. They're the people who are the interns at these studios that produce this crap. And there's something a lot more nefarious going on. It's not just nerds bitching about things they don't like or whatever. There is actually, I believe, a legit corporate, you know, mastermind.
I don't know if there's like a mastermind behind it, but there's definitely something up. Like, even when they had that rewriting Ripley bullshit.
That rewriting Ripley, that was a huge. For those of you who don't know, there was an article written on Medium and some podcast called Rewriting Ripley, and it's claiming to be some like feminist thing. And really, the whole purpose of the podcast was to try to connect a bunch of people who didn't like Star Wars.
Who were not connected. Some of them
were not connected, yeah. And trying to connect them all to like the alt-right and Trumpism and all this other shit. And we got lumped in as like the number 3 threats at Star Wars, which is fucking ridiculous. Based on the amount of money they think we make, and it's like, I can tell you, people, I look at these numbers, I'm like, you guys are way the fuck off.
We're not Republicans.
We're not even Republicans. And half the people they had on the list, I didn't even know them. I mean, even at the time, I didn't know them, or I maybe talked to them a couple of times.
But we weren't like, you know, in cahoots or anything.
No, it wasn't like there's some, like, everybody thinks there's like some secret
because
war room.
If you don't like it, and there's somebody else who doesn't like it, you clearly are plotting this.
So, do you want to know what I think's happening about this whole thing? Because that rewriting Ripley thing
tinfoil hat on,
it was completely coordinated. I think the people accusing other YouTubers and bloggers and antis or whatever of having like a secret chat room or a secret.
Oh, the ones with the secret chat rooms.
They're the ones who actually have the secret chat rooms, the secret Discords, the back channels, Facebook, Whisper networks, and all that. And they assume because they do it that everybody else is doing it too. But they just outed themselves. Like, who would think to do something that nefarious, to actually have a group together to try to deplatform people, unless you yourself are actually doing that. And I think that's exactly what's going on. I think these people get in the crosshairs like, oh, they said something negative about Star Wars. It's time to smear them all over Twitter. Let's fire up the alt accounts. It'll be really interesting to see if, because Musk is talking about, putting the ban hammer on sock puppet accounts and alt accounts. It'll be really interesting to see if a lot of this negativity dies down after they start vetting people on Twitter, because most of it comes from Twitter and Reddit. And Reddit can die in a fire. I don't give a shit. Reddit's garbage. But anyway, we've been dealing with this for a long time. So, and it's just bleeding out into other channels. Much like
this is just bleeding long here. I'm bleeding out for how long this video is.
Okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna wrap it up. Yeah. Is that you fixing my shit? Like, I need to edit this video because it's running too long.
Well, no, you just need to end it.
Okay, we're gonna end it.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Bye.